Hello Frosted Tech fans, this is Jared Frost coming at you with another video. Today's video, well, it may not be today for you, but today is today for me. Today might be tomorrow for you. I don't know, I'm confusing myself now. Anyways, on to the build. So, what we got here, guys, is a very basic custom build. This is for the owner of the company that I work for. I took his old computer from work this past Friday, and it's Saturday now at the time of this being shot. And all I'm using from his existing computer is the hard drive, which is right there. It's that little puppy right there. Pepper? I don't know. Pepper? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. It's still kind of early. So, it's a Seagate 2 terabyte. You can't see because it's all blurry. I don't know why my autofocus isn't working too well. Oh well. Got 2 sticks, 4 gigs of RAM each stick, so 8 total. Got the Corsair CX430M. It's semi-modular. It's a great power supply for a small build like this. I've got a Patriot Blast, not the Blaze, the Blast 120 gig SSD. I've got Gigabyte's F2 A88XM for micro ATX, ultra durable, 4+. Very good motherboard for micro ATX for an FM2 socket. I don't know much about the overclocking features on this board. I'm still screwing around with it, so I will hopefully have some type of video and review on that motherboard. It's not new by any means, it's quite old actually, but yeah, a review might help somebody out there. For the heart of the build, we have the A10 5800K APU from AMD. For the cooler, we just have a generic Asetek CPU all-in-one cooler, and I'm going to throw on a Corsair SP120 fan on it for oh wow, high static pressure. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. That's the words I was looking for. For the case, we have a Sigmatech. Yeah, I don't know how to say that. I could try to get a close-up of it. Or not. Still not, really. Okay, yeah. Well, it's picky. Stupid camera. It's got 2 USB 3.0 headers on the front. On the top front I/O, sorry. It's got a solid power switch, which I like, because a lot of these cheaper cases, you push in, and sometimes the button will get stuck, and it's like, well, that was awesome. That lasted all of 20 seconds. So yeah, it's got a decent power switch on it, which I do appreciate. Inside this case, there's not much to say about it. It's got a little hard drive rack in there for 2 hard drives, which we're going to be putting in 2 hard drives, but I'm going to be mounting the SSD to the back wall, I think, so we won't care about that. Oh, also, that optical drive you see there, that is out of his old build as well, so we are reusing his 2 terabyte hard drive from Seagate that has his operating system on it, and his optical drive. Now, I will be cloning the operating system and migrating it over to the SSD for faster performance, so that will help him out a lot. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to start off the video with a little short clip of an overview of all the pieces that are going to be going into this build, and I know this might be boring for some of you PC enthusiasts out there, as this is nowhere near like a intricate build of any sort, but if you guys stay tuned to my channel, hopefully I will be able to bring some more intricate builds. I am looking to upgrade my Z97 platform PC to a X99, so hopefully that'll be coming at you. And obviously, yes, it will all be on water, because what kind of PC enthusiast would I be if I wasn't water cooling my components? Like that one. So yeah, stay tuned, you PC enthusiasts. Subscribe, please. And let me know what you think of my videos. Yeah, without any further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump into building this PC. And if this is your first time here, welcome to my channel. And we're back, folks. Alright, now obviously I realize you can't see me. You can see my hands though, so that's all that matters, right, folks? All you want to look at is my hands. You don't need to see the rest of me. Alright, now that I have everything out and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and start to get into this build. So first off is I am watching on my 32-inch monitor up above, which I don't typically use too often. I'm watching my video playback while I'm recording just to make sure I don't lose anything. So to dive right into this, I'm opening up the motherboard. It comes with 4 SATA cables. 2 of them are right angles to a straight angle, so 290 degrees, and the rest of them are all 180 degrees, just flat, just straight, your standard one. Inside you've got installation guide, software user manual, and you've got your driver disk. We don't need that, that's gone. Alright, we'll get the latest drivers online. So now let's get to the core of this. Now I have opened this already, so there might be some differences on this board than on your board if you purchase the same board. So let's get these SATA cables back in here. Keep the I/O shield out, because last time I did a custom build I forgot to put the I/O shield in and I had to dig through the box to find it. Here is the motherboard. Let's get it out of its handy dandy static free bag. Come on. There we go. Alright, now there's your motherboard. Now, as I said, mine's going to look a little different than yours. I've already ripped this open and gone in and replaced the typical the typical mount for cooling hardware, and I put in my standoffs to the existing backplate for my all-in-one liquid cooler. Now remember, this is not my computer. I'm not making this for me. So it's going to be quite basic, but it's going to be a lot better. Now I also want to point out one thing that's kind of off topic. Yes, I am wearing a Paul's Hardware shirt. I love his channel, him and Kyle, and Jay's 2 Cents, and Barnacles, Jerry. Big shout out to you guys. You guys motivated me to do what I'm doing right now, and that's giving content to the community. So thank you, Paul, for allowing me to purchase this shirt. I also got a Thumbscrew shirt too. I also bought a mug, by the way, Paul. If you ever watch this, where's my mug? I bought a coffee mug from you, man. I love coffee. Yes, I love it. It's my energy. It's my life in a cup. See that? Coffee, life in a cup. But I want my Thumbscrew one from Paul. So come on, Paul. Where's my mug? Come on. Where's my mug, Paul? Alright, on to the back to the build. And back on topic. Alright. So on here you've got 2 PCIe Express lanes. You've got an old PCI Express or PCI lane. Won't be using that. You also have a PCIe Express ×1 lane. These are X16s. This is going to be pulling from the chipset. This will be pulling from the CPU. This is only a ×4, I believe, and this is an X16. So you can run Crossfire on this motherboard with two AMD GPUs, graphics cards. But you can only do one if you're going NVIDIA. So keep that in mind, folks. This is not a high-end build. This motherboard is specifically meant for lower end, for your typical everyday user and light gamer. So now we're going to go ahead and we will get into unboxing the RAM. If I can find my knife, my handy dandy Walmart knife. Yes, it's a SOG. SOG. I don't know. It's really cheap. I think I've paid like 20 bucks for it, if that. It was probably cheaper than that, guys. It was probably like $14. Now, so I don't cut myself. At least I hope I don't. Alright, got the first try. That is an improvement for me. Last time I went to open these little boxes, I ended up ripping the damn thing out because it wouldn't freaking open up right. Alright. There's our first stick of RAM. I will pull this out, show you guys. Yes, it is the Value Select from Corsair. I chose Corsair because I trust their RAM. I like their RAM. I'm using 2 sticks of their Vengeance in my rig right now, in fact. We're going to use the black channels. Wait. No, we're not. We're going to be using the gray channels. What am I talking about? Because that's channel 1. DDR slot 1 and DDR slot 3 for channel 1. Now, all you gotta do, open up these 2 little tabs, and you're gonna push down until you hear it snap. Okay? That's all you gotta do there. Now, with the second stick of RAM, I'll be a little bit more in depth on installing it, so that. I realized I just kind of rushed right through that first stick right there, and really that's really not going to help too many people if I just rush right through it. So let's go ahead and get this one opened up. And yeah, so hold on one second while okay, that'll work. Yeah. For some reason I can't see what my battery life is at on my screen. I can typically see what it says on my camera, but not on my screen for some reason. Oh well. Anyhow, here's the second stick, guys, and this is what I'm going to point out. As you can see, there are more pins on this side than there are on this side. So you want to make sure that that lines up correctly with your motherboard. You can kind of see there's a little gap right there. Okay, so there's more on this side, fewer on this side. So first of all, open up your pins to get it in there. Slide it in gently. You don't need to be robust with this thing. It's not entirely fragile, but you know it can be. So, and would you look at that? Somebody is calling me from Cheyenne, Wyoming. I don't even know where that's at, so I'm not going to answer that, guys. So that's what you guys just saw, me getting a phone call. How boring was that? Alright, now back to this, back to the RAM. You're going to want to press gently, and you might need to give it a little bit of force, but it will go in. You hear those 2 clips snap into place? You're good to go. That's all. That is all it takes. Now, I did have a third stick of RAM that I did want to put in his computer, but you know what? We're going to be okay with just the 2, so there's no need to put a third stick in there. Plus, if I was to put a third stick in there, I'd really want to put a 4th stick in there to utilize both channels of the DDR3 DIMM slots. So we're not gonna screw around with that. We're just gonna use the 2. But moving on, let's go ahead and put our CPU in. This is our CPU socket. It is the AMD A10 5800 series. It is a K, so it is overclockable, and hopefully I'll be able to get this to overclock a little bit. We'll have to see. So going right in, the difference between AMD CPU chips and Intel chips is the fact that AMD puts their pins directly on the CPU. So I don't know if you guys can see that real well. They're directly on there, whereas I don't have an Intel chip to show you guys because most of the computers at my work are all AMD, and the only Intel CPU I have is in my main rig, so I don't really feel like pulling that one out. Now, another thing you want to make sure is that you find the triangle on here, and on this one is right there. They're always located in the same spot, and you're going to find the triangle on your motherboard, which on this motherboard it is imprinted on here very, very small. I can't even show you guys. That's how small it is. It is right on that corner right there, or sorry, right there. I know you guys can't see that because it's all blurry, and I apologize. I'm still trying to mess around and figure out how to adjust focus while I'm shooting. So anyways, so first off, lift your bracket up on here all the way up and pull it back. Don't pull it back too hard, you'll break it. But find that triangle on the motherboard and then on your CPU and orientate it in the same direction and just set it in there. Bam, it's in there. You don't need to move this around. It only goes in one way, and that's it. Once you have that installed there, you can now bring your bracket down. Yeah, you're gonna feel a little bit of force, a little bit of snug. It's not that bad. It's not like Intel CPUs where when you're smashing it down, it's smashing against the pins and you can hear it sounds like something's crushing in there. Well, for me, that always freaked me out. I was always like, whoa, hey, whoa, what the hell? Why is that making a crunching sound? I'm not eating chips. I'm just installing my CPU. But anyways, yeah, it'll be fine. Alright, on to the next part. Our CPU cooler. Look at that. Alright, what a piece of junk. We're not going to use that. But, and this is a big but, we are going to test to make sure that everything works properly. So we will install this right now. Find your CPU fan header, plug it in. I always like to plug it in first, that way I know that I know which way to orientate it to where it's going to fit with enough wire clearance. Oh wait guys, you know what, I just forgot something. We can't install this right now. I've got the CPU water block on there. Or not the block, but the CPU thingies. The thingies, wow, man. I sound like I don't know shit about computers. I've got the, is this thing gonna come out? What the hell did I do? I've got the standoffs for the all-in-one cooler already installed, so this isn't gonna work. So guess what? For this build, because I am doing other ones, we're not going to test it. I already know that it works because I did use a different CPU, and I will show you that right now. This is my A10 7600 series CPU from AMD. So I did test it out, and I did test it out with these other two sticks of RAM right here, and I did make sure that they all ran. Now this CPU, yeah, it's different, and some would argue, well, aren't you gonna test out that one because that one might not work? Just because the other one worked doesn't mean that one might not work, and also your RAM might not work either. You tested two completely different components. And I'm thinking to myself, well, you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, you know. I mean, no, that's okay. There are times when things don't work. So, but for this video, we're not going to test that it works before we go ahead and install the rest of the components. And I'm only doing that because I'm kind of short on time here, and I'll do it in the next video. I really don't want to take the time to put the old CPU cooler bracket thingy on there and redo it. So yeah, we're just going to leave that part out for now. I'm not worried about it not working one bit, so yeah. So moving on, assuming we tested this and it all ran fine, our next thing we want to tackle is getting this installed into the case. Now, if you're going to put an air cooler on, I do strongly suggest that you put it on. I strongly suggest that you put it on before you install it into your case, because it does make everything so much easier. Now, guys, I am pulling out some items here strictly because I just want to get them ready. Now, this is my kit of thermal pastes. I've got all sorts of different brands, and today we're going to be using the Tunic TX4. This is one of my favorite brands out there. My second favorite is EK, what they send with it, and they send the Gelid, or I think that's what it's called, Gelid, I don't know, and then their EK Ecotherm. So, I mean, these are my second favorite thermal pastes. Also, my third favorite, and I realize this is probably kind of retarded. Most people don't go, oh, it's my first, my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth. These are the ones I like the most. But I do like the Arctic Silver 5 thermal paste. It is one of the best ones out on the market, and most people would argue that it is the best. So, my fourth favorite, and I really do like this one. I'm actually using this one on my test bench, and this is the Antec Formula 7 Nano Diamond Thermal Compound. Now, this stuff was expensive. This was like $22.99 or something. I bought it at Fry's Electronics here in Arizona. So, but we're not going to be using any of this stuff today other than the Tunic. Now, if I was water cooling this, especially if I was using EK blocks, yeah, I'd be using the EK stuff that EK sends. And why? Because I've used their stuff before on their products specifically, and I've never had a problem. Why switch, right? Why go with something that may not be non-conductive like theirs is for their water blocks on their GPUs, and use something that possibly is conductive and fry it. I just don't want to take a chance. So I use what they recommend, what they send with it. That's what I use. And it works. As you can see, well, okay, you can't see it, but it's right here. This bad boy right here, this is my main rig. I've probably seen lots of the videos or lots of the pictures of it in Instagram. I posted in there, and just in the last 32 hours I've gotten 36 likes. So that's a like an hour almost, a little more. Alright, now I pulled these out, my Arctic Clean, so I can show you guys how to clean your CPU. Now, this one is brand new, it's never been used, and typically speaking, you're not going to have to clean it before you use it. But I like to be proactive and clean stuff. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. Now, I realize you guys can't really see what I'm doing. You probably, nope, you didn't see. Okay, good. I won't even bring up what you guys didn't see. I'm looking for my microfiber cloth, but you know what? I'm thinking I'm just going to use a paper towel. A paper towel and a can of air, because really that's all you need. The paper towel and a can of air. Yay! Okay, so we're going to clean this. Like I was saying, it is brand new and it doesn't really necessarily need to be cleaned, but I like to purify mine. I like to make sure that it's clean. So all you got to do here, let me get this kind of closer to the camera so you guys kind of see. I'm going to put one little drop on there. This is the cleaning solution. This is label number 1. And we're just going to kind of go in there with our paper towel. We're just going to kind of rub it around and clean off the top surface. Make sure there's not anything in between, because once we put the thermal paste on and then the cooler on, we want to make sure that there's a nice layer of thermal paste on there that's not going to be, you know, disrupted from some other gunk on there, you know, oil from your skin or whatnot. So it's best to do this before you install your cooler on there, but you don't really have to. I just prefer doing this way so that I can ensure that my CPU is going to get the most the best form of cooling possible. So okay, I put 2 drops of the purifier on there. This is just a purifier, it just ensures that now that it's been cleaned, that now nothing on there left residue from the cleaner is going to be on there. The cleaner is not a harsh stuff. It's safe for the environment, but it can create a bad layer of stuff on there that will can cause the CPU to overheat if it interacts with the thermal paste in a negative way. So now we got that off there, and I massaged it enough, and I gave it a back rub, and I took it out for dinner and a movie. I'll throw the paper towel away, and we're just going to blow this off a little bit, just to make sure there's no excess fibers from the paper towel that's on there, because that's another thing you don't want. You don't want any sort of fiber from your paper towel on there. That's why I don't like using paper towel. I like using microfiber cloth, but I don't have one in reaching distance at this moment. So our next task, we're going to move this aside, guys. Not that you can see where I moved it, but trust me, it's in a safe spot. We're going to take our case now. I'm going to take my cleaning supplies and move them off to the side. We're going to take our case out. We're going to take the back plate off, or the side panels off rather. Make sure you put your thumb screw somewhere safe. If I had a magnetic like bowl, that's where I would keep mine, but I don't have one, unfortunately. And we're going to take both side panels off just to start, just to make sure that when we do go to do cable management and whatnot, we don't have to worry about taking off the other panel. So you want to put your side panels in a nice safe spot where you're not going to kick them, where they're not going to get bent. And for me, that's just down on the ground beside me, because I'm not going to be getting up too much. Okay, I'm having some trouble getting the back panel off. So let's see if I can get it off. There we go. Whoa. Okay, what the hell happened there? Okay, that's weird. It just stuck on there pretty freaking well, I'd say. Alright, so this is the, I don't know how to say this, and I'm probably butchering your name, and I'm sorry guys if you end up being a sponsor of mine at some point, I apologize. It is the Zigmatic Spirit case. It's for Micro ATX. It's a decent case. It's not, the build quality is not perfect by any means, but it will work. We have some ventilated expansion slot covers in here. Just looks like just one of them. Got some drive attachments so we can slide into our drive bay right here, our hard drive bay. We've got 2 sets of those because there's only 2 slots. Of course, they give you zip ties, and this is one of the things I love about case manufacturers is that they supply you with some zip ties, because cable management is becoming huge. I mean, everybody out there, like Matt Philly, who does Pimp My Setup, that's one of the scores he gives on people, is the way they orientate their cable management. So it's become a very well-known and highly suggested form when you're building your PC, is to put the cables in an orientation that hides them well so that everything looks really clean. Now, just taking a first glance at this, the one thing I don't like about this case is that they don't provide you with any fans in the front. So I'm going to have to put in my own fans from my own wallet that I spent money on in this case. And that kind of sucks because I don't think I'll be reimbursed for that at work. But that's okay. This is the owner's computer and I want him to have a damn good computer. So first off, I'm going to pour some of these screws out here so that I can get to my standoffs. And like most cases, well, actually this one's not that way. This one does not have the labels for your micro ATX standoff locations, and that really sucks, but fortunately I know where they're going to go. So what you want to do is you want to get your screwdriver out, and what I have here is a standoff key, is I think what they're called. It's got a little Phillips head top, and then inside on the socket part fits a standoff screw, as you can see here. It's very nice to have, and this one I actually got from a Cooler Master case, and I kept it because I loved it. So let's start off by screwing in our first standoff screw. Now, I realize you guys probably cannot see this too well, but there we go. That's better. Now you don't want it in there too tight. You just want it nice and snug so it doesn't move. Now I'm going to continue to put these in. And you guys can feel free to fast forward through this part of the video if you don't really care about where your standoffs go. Some of you guys may. If you guys are first time builders, you probably do want to know where they go. The rest of you out there who are enthusiasts like myself probably don't really need to, because you probably already know. So, and I apologize that I only have one point of view and you guys can't really see everything. I am working on getting a decent little webcam, because I do want to start doing this live. I want to start doing some live streaming. Unfortunately, my DSLR does not have the capability of doing live streaming that I know of. At least not right now. I've done some searching on it, but haven't been able to figure out if it is capable of doing live streaming. So unfortunately that sucks. You know, it's a pretty expensive camera. It's not entirely like overpriced, but it isn't, you know, it's not $100 camera. So anyways, oh, right here. I was like, where did it go? Couldn't find my standoff, and that didn't work out so well. This one's not going in as easy as the rest, but that's okay. And right now I'm looking at the way this motherboard tray in here is oriented, and I'm kind of thinking that wire management in this case is going to be downright, downright impossible. I don't know yet, but we'll figure that out. We'll tackle that bridge when it comes. I do want it to look decent, though there is no window on it, so at the end of the day, it's really not going to matter all that much, but I would like it to be somewhat clean in here for the boss. Alright, get the wires out of the way, and get the last couple of standoffs in here. Now I will note this though. This case does support two 240mm radiators. That's kind of cool. I mean, if you think about it, in a small form factor like this, a case that will allow you to put up to two radiators. In fact, if you were really good at at using your space wisely, which I'm not entirely great at. Sometimes, you know, it's just really hard for me to use my space that I'm given in a case to the best of my ability to get everything I want in there, or to even use really custom type items put in here. But I do my best, so that's all you can ask. But this one, if you're really good with using your space wisely, you can probably get not just two 240mm radiators, but you could probably get a second or a third radiator that's either probably 120mm up here at the back for the exhaust. So I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, this case will support the two 240mm radiators for sure. I don't know about the last 120mm radiator, but there is a chance that, you know, you could get it in here. Pull all the wires out just so you guys can see this, so that we can bring our motherboard over. In fact, actually, first thing I want to do, we want to get our I/O shield in there. So we're going to bust out our handy dandy knife right here and cut this fucker open. Flap. Sorry about the language. Sorry guys, didn't mean to say that, just kind of slipped out. Alright, there's our I/O shield. Alright, important fact. These things are sharp. Be careful with them, okay? They're sharp. And another thing, orientating your I/O shield so that it fits the right way in your case. Now in most cases, your audio ports right here are always going to be faced towards the bottom of the case. So it's going to be right in here. And your PS2 cable input's always going to be up top, up here. That is the case for almost every case and motherboard orientation out there. Now there are certain cases out there that have a flipped 90-degree angled motherboard orientation, in which case sometimes the I/O shield is going to be facing like this in the back of your case. But this one I know for a fact is going to go in like this. So let's go ahead and pop that sucker in there so we can get on with this video. And you're going to hear a couple of snaps once you get it in there. And now as you can see, it is in there. Isn't that pretty? It's so pretty. Don't you like it? It just makes my mouth water. I like it. It's what it is. It's not that pretty, I'll be honest, guys. Alright, now to bring our motherboard back, you guys remember this guy, right? This is our motherboard with our CPU and our RAM installed. Now, here comes the fun part. Installing your motherboard properly. So, first things first, I'm going to get it inside the case. I'm going to have a heck of a time getting this in here. Or maybe not. Look at that. Huh. Alright, well, we're having a heck of a time over here. Alright, now what you want to do is find your motherboard screws, which, without reading the manual, I can tell you this is one of them right here. Just little tiny heads on them. And this is where I like to have a magnetic screwdriver in, because these things are so small, and if you drop one in there, you're going to want to be able to magnetize it on out of there. I am not sure if that's really a proper way of using that word, but it'll work for now. Now for the tough part, getting the motherboard situated the right way in here. So that we can get our screws in their holes. Gotta get our screws in their holes, guys. Alright, this is turning out to be a bigger pain in the ass than I thought it would be. This is why I like cases that have one dedicated standoff location that's dedicated to kind of locking the motherboard in place. Because then it really helps when you go to put your screws in. It really helps to have your motherboard kind of situated and orientated in the proper manner. Whereas in this case, I have to kind of force it. Are you kidding me right now? Too many freaking phone calls. It looks like our screw is having a heck of a time getting in there. This is the only part I don't like about building computers, is when components fight back. They're thinking, hey look, I'm way too good for this case. Okay, starting to think that may not be the right screw. I may have made an oopsie. Alright, you know, if all else fails, what you do is you take a remaining thumb screw or standoff and you figure out which screw goes in there by screwing in a couple of the screws that come with your case hardware. So see, that one is definitely a high dense thread, so that definitely doesn't go in there. That one's kind of different too. Well, this is kind of a pain in the butt. I wonder if they just gave me the wrong screws for the standoffs. This is embarrassing. Aha! Okay, I found one. So this is the right screw, which I think is the one I do have up there, but who knows? Alright, now get these suckers in here. I do not suggest you put these in too tight. Just get it to where they're snug, because you don't want them to break your motherboard, obviously. Because, well, let's be honest, that would kind of ruin your day. I mean, it really would, and it would suck. So now, while I try to find the rest of these screws, and I found another one. You do want to try to get all the screws you can into the motherboard, as in most cases they act as a ground. And you need that ground in there. You need your motherboard to be grounded. Not like grounded like you're in trouble, go to your room grounded, but grounded as in electrically wise. Whew. Getting kind of toasty in here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hot. Alright, let's get this other guy out of here because he doesn't belong in there, I don't think. Unless it is the right screw and it's just threaded wrong. Nope, that's the wrong one. I kind of figured. Since it wasn't going in. Alright, we are almost... Really? And that's what happens. Oh, you drop it, and you magnetize it, and you pick it back up again. Woohoo! Guys, I apologize for how long this video is, but when you're talking about building a computer, it can take quite a while. Especially if you are kind of going over all the aspects of putting a computer together. That can be very time consuming in itself. Only got a couple more to go. We're almost done. Let's get these wires back on this side of the front of the case, so we can get this puppy over here in. Alright, now that we got the screws all in, now we can go ahead and tackle the power supply. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the case off to the side again, just like I did with the motherboard. Have no fear, guys, it will be over here. Okay, now I want to take a little time and look at the power supply because I'll be honest, these are quite cheap. They don't cost very much money. I think it was like 60 some dollars maybe, if that. Corsair, I love you guys. You even put in handy dandy zip ties with your motherboards. I love it. Freaking love it. Now because this is a semi-modular, it does come with some cables that are not plugged in. It does come with a bag of tasty treats. With lots of high fructose corn syrup. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Don't eat this. This is a moisturizer absorbing bag. It's not to be eaten. It's not candy, okay? Okay, enough of that. To the mother supply. We're gonna kick the box somewhere. That'll work. Now, let's get this thing apart so that we can look at it, because I love Corsair's power supplies. I'm using one of theirs in my main rig. I'm using one of theirs in my test bench. I have a 860 watt in my main rig, and I have a 750 watt in my test bench. So I am a Corsair fanboy, if you will, as far as their power supplies go. I love their power supplies. I really do. They're built very sturdy. Even their low-end models, like this one, comes with a 120 millimeter fan, and it's overall, it is a great power supply. It's 80 plus bronze, so it's not the it's not a gold or a platinum or a titanium, or not titanium. I can't remember what the higher up one is, but it's whatever comes after platinum. Mine is a platinum in my main rig, and then I have a bronze, 750 bronze in my test bench. So I have one of their high-end ones, and then I have a lower-end one as well. The lower-end one is a bit bigger than this one, but nevertheless, they're great power supplies. So I just wanted to show you guys this. It's a CX430M. It's only 430 watt power supply, but it is more than enough to push what we are building here today. So yeah. Alright, now we get to put it in the case. Hip hip hooray. Now where should I put this junk? Right there. That seems good. I don't have a lot of room to play with right here. I am working on getting a new desk, and I want to go with IKEA, but I'm asking people for their opinions. So if any of you guys out there know what sort of desk I should get that's either a L-shaped or a two-piece with one piece here, one piece over here in the corner, I would greatly appreciate it. I need something new. So yeah. Alright, on to the build again. Gonna move some stuff aside to get the case over here and put the power supply in. Alright, here's the case again. Here we go. So first things first, you're going to want to figure out where your screws are for the power supply. And ours, for this one, came in this little bag. They're right here. Now granted, I think the case probably came with some too as well. I'm not positive, but we're not going to use those because we want to use the ones that go with the Corsair. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt this upright so that I can feed the cables through the back. Probably won't be able to see it all that well, but for right now I'll just have to kind of do. So power, motherboard 24-pin power, and the CPU 8-pin power. Feed those through. Pull them around the back. We're going to have this one oriented with the fan on the bottom, because that's just what we do. This case will be sitting on the in a kind of like desk-like back of the back of the desk, but it's ventilated enough for, and this thing has feet on it, so the fan will be sucking cold air from the bottom and blowing out the back here. So that's all we care about, is making sure that it will not suffocate. So that's good. Alright, we got our 4. Now what I like to do to start this off is by finding my screw holes and placing one in there and tightening it with my hand as much as I can. And then a second one as well, just to kind of get it in there so that I know where I'm placing the other ones. Alright, so that should be good. Let's get the other two in here just in case. I don't think we're going to have a problem with the location. Nope, we're not. Alright, awesome. I love it when things fit well, because sometimes with these cheaper cases, you know, you have to kind of improvise with where you put some of your components. Like I had one case a while back that I kind of had to drill my one of my holes for installing the power supply, and it wasn't the power supply's fault. It wasn't a Corsair. It was a I think it was a Cool Power? No, I can't remember. Deep Cool, maybe? Yeah, something like that. Deep Cool, I think it was. And it wasn't their fault. Their orientated screw holes for the power supply were in the normal spot. However, the case manufacturer, I can't remember what kind of case it was. It was a off-brand kind of generic, really generic type case. So Now I think I might have made an oopsie. I probably should have installed the power supply first, but that's alright. Like I said, you know, he's not going to be able to see this all that well. So our 24 pin is definitely not going to be able to be hidden very well at all. In fact, even the CPU one isn't, because there's no room in this case whatsoever to do any sort of cable management. So now I think back and I go, Zigmatic, why would you include? Wow, I can't even feed it through the back and hope to God that nope, yeah, it won't fit. So I'm gonna have to feed these both back to the front. Well, maybe not the CPU power cord, but definitely the 24 pin, because it's just way too thick to be sitting in the back here. Because there's no gap back here for the side panel to go back on without being interrupted by, or without sticking way. What did I just do? Okay, there we go. I won't be able to fit the side panel back on if I route the 24 pin power cable in the back here. Unfortunately, there's absolutely no room. So now what I'm going to do is get this back on its side. Now that we have those draped over and in, we're going to go ahead and firstly plug in our CPU header. And the reason I'm doing this before I put the cooler in is so that I have a way to route the cables. Whether I have to route them inside or out, which I'm quite certain is going to have to just kind of be hanging out, unfortunately, as there is no room in this case for decent cable management. Now I'm going to plug in my USB 3.0 here, just so I can get that one out of the way. So now that that's plugged in, now we're going to tackle our I/O, or sorry, yeah, our front I/O indicators. Right here, and I know you can't see them, it's too damn blurry, and that sucks. I'm really starting to hate this camera now. We have our hard drive data LED, which lets us know if our disk is running. We have our power LED plus and minus right here, plus, minus. We have our power switch and our reset switch. The only ones here that really matter where they're plugged in orientated wise, as far as plus and minus goes, is your power LED plus and minus, and I think your hard disk plus and minus. So those are really the only two that you really have to worry about and be careful with. The power switch and reset switch, it doesn't really matter all that much, only because the on and off is just sending one signal, and power or ground doesn't really matter as far as I know. I've never had any problems with it, so if there's somebody out there that wants to argue it, then be my guest, give me some information. That's why we're a community. We help each other out. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm just here to give the information that I have to people in need. So that's all I really care about. So plus and minus. I wish they told you which ones were which on the HDD light. Oh well. Alright, that's plugged in. Power LED plus goes right there, and then the minus, and now that's plugged in. Okay guys, while I was off camera I went ahead and did some cable management. Why? because I am picky. Now, I know you guys can't see it, but what I did was I kind of wrapped the cables back and in. So I will try to show you that. So the CPU power, I routed them back out around here and zip tied them down right here so that they're not obstructing the path for the back side panel for the rear. I did go ahead and plug in that 24-pin power, and I rerouted the front I/O switches so that I need to replug those back in. So reset. Let's get the HDD in. That's in. Now the power. Alright, power's plugged in. Now our LEDs. Positive. Negative. Alright, I/O's back and plugged in. Now, what I want to do is get our fan here plugged in so that we can run that sucker. And I want to run this one up and around if I can under the CPU power cable while trying to maintain the little bit of formality that I have here. Plug that baby in, and that kind of hurt. That punctured my finger a little bit. Alright, well, got that done. So next, I want to install our CPU cooler. Here is our CPU cooler. Now, I do want to blow it out a little bit because it is a little dusty. It is kind of used. Okay, we're done. No more of that wispy air sound for the audio, because that's not an attractive sound. Now, what we need to do is figure out where our screws are for it. In order to do that, I gotta dig. I wasn't too proactive with this, with having this already pre and ready to go. But good news is this bag was close. I keep all my stuff in a bag, and I would suggest that the majority of you guys out there should do this too, as it's not real tough to do, and it keeps everything real handy for when you go to use it again. Alright, now don't remember what screws are going into the actual radiator itself. And because they're so small, I drop them easily. Huh. Definitely not those ones. It might be these guys, but they seem kind of long. Just a little bit. Just a wee bit long. I'm not really entirely sure if those are them. They are. I've only got a couple of them. Huh. Oh, that's okay. You don't need too many of them. If all else fails, I'm sure I can find some other screws. Alright. Get that tucked back away, and now to install our CPU cooler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to face it this way so you guys can see what I'm doing. And because of the way I'm going to orientate this, I want to get the fan on first. So it's going to go in there like so. We're going to have this plugged in like this. So we want the fan doing a push configuration. Put it on here like this. Get these screws in there. Get one started. Get it somewhat on there and snug, but not too snug. Don't want to, create the thing to be too hard to get the rest of them on there. Now we got that one on there. I want to point out something. On most radiators, especially if you're dealing with a custom loop, you're going to have to be super careful with your screws going in to your radiator. And I say that because your radiator contains water in it. Oh my God, isn't that just amazing? It just sounds like something nobody would know. No, but seriously speaking, guys, people do tend to screw in screws way too tight, and on radiators like XSPC and EK, you do run the risk of puncturing those areas where the water runs through to be cooled, and by doing so you will create a leak. And trust me when I say this, you don't want that, not by any means. That would not only make a bad day for you, but also for your computer. So now we're going to figure out, okay, that looks like that'll work. And I'm hoping that these screws also work, as I think they will. They should be the right thread. Yep, they sure are. Awesome. What I always like to do is get one in each corner started, because it makes it easier to get the rest of the screws in there. In fact, it makes it much easier, because if you have it already on there and secured, then you can get the last couple of screws without having to hold the actual radiator. So I will point out something, that I did grab entirely wrong screws at first, and I would have, had I used them, or had I had to use them, I wouldn't have been able to put my radiator on securely. It would have been kind of shaking around in there a bit, because I wouldn't have wanted to puncture my radiator fins, because the one screws that I did find that did fit the threading were these right here, and they are way too long. Way too long. So keep that in mind, folks. You want to use the right screws. Alright, now I have my thumb screws here ready to go on for when I do put the CPU block or water block on top of the CPU. First off, I want to get in a good shot of me putting on the thermal paste. So we will rotate this around so you guys can see it. And because this is AMD, I like to do the X method, which is going from this one side, stringing it along a thin strip, though you don't want it too big, because you don't want the grease, the thermal compound, to flow over the edge. It's not going to hurt anything, but I'll tell you this right now, it does make a mess when it comes time to swapping out your cooler, or if you're swapping out your CPU. I'm also going to put a little dab right there, and a little dab right there, a little dab right here. I know a lot of people out there are probably going, whoa Jared, that's just way too much freaking thermal paste, that's just way too much. Well, I'll be honest, with AMD CPUs I tend to do this quite often. By what I mean by that is I put on a lot of freaking paste, and the reason I do that is because I want a good coat. I want a nice coat of thermal paste on my CPU, because AMD, as most people know, they run really, really warm. So, what's nice about them though is their temperatures don't change real fast. They climb and decrease a lot slower than your Intel CPUs. For example, my 4970K Devil's Canyon CPU, it jumps from, let's see here, what does it jump from? Like 28 to 33 in between there when I'm playing games, and it does it very, very, very fast. Alright, now I know this is going to be entirely hard to see, but here's the installation of the block. So you want to get it over the said screws, and because these are going to be a pain in the butt to get on while trying. So I put the first one on. Now I'm going to put the second one on, if I can. This is going to be a little hard with the radiator in the way, but that's okay. Almost got it. Not quite. So at this point, it's going to help to use a screwdriver, so that's what we're going to use. Alright, I think it's on there. Nope. Okay, now it's on there. Now we're going to put this one over here on the other back corner. And for the most part, you can pretty much tighten these with your thumb and finger, unless you have locations of them like I do, which in this case makes it much harder to use your fingers, but that's okay. We're improvising here, and it's okay to improvise. So now that we got that one on there, we're gonna screw that one down a little bit. Alright, now I like to do the cross method, so I start with this one, get that one somewhat snug, then I go over here and do this one. And now a lot of people will argue, hey, it's better to go right next to the one. I always like to go to the back. I always like to go to the furthest one from it, especially when you're dealing with AMD. So we'll screw this one down. And then we'll screw the last one down. Now, I will be honest, you don't have to worry about getting these too tight on here, because they're threaded. The standoffs are threaded to a certain point that won't allow you to crush your CPU or break your motherboard. But you also don't want to go crazy with it, because on the off chance that you have a different motherboard and a different CPU bracket than I do, you don't want to take my word for it and just go, oh well, he said you don't have to tighten it down that tight. or you don't have, you can tighten it down as tight as you want because it's meant so that you can't break it. Well, that's only in this case for this CPU and the bracket that I'm using, because the bracket and the actual standoffs and the thumb screws for this are actually meant for a Corsair cooler. In fact, I'll show you it right now. It is actually meant for this Corsair cooler right here. As you can see, it's for Corsair. It says Corsair on there, and on the bottom here it says Corsair. Can't really see it, no big deal. And this is the H75. Now this bracket kit, which is also on here, is for the H75, the H65, and the H95 or 105, something like that. Anyhow, you want to be careful when you're tightening those down if you're not using the same exact one that I am. So next thing is you want to make sure that you plug your pump power in to the right header. Now what I mean by the right header of this one is it tells you in the manual that I no longer have to plug this one into the CPU header. So that's what we do. Now the second one, the actual fan, the fan wire goes into the system fan. So make sure you got those plugged into the proper locations, guys. That's very important. So, as you can see here, and I'll go ahead and zoom in for those of you who are blind like myself. The 4-pin is the fan because it's PWM, pulse width something. Basically what it means is you can control the speed of the fan via your motherboard controls. So as your CPU temps go up, and they'll give you a little graph, and you can kind of scale it out as you see fit. They give you a little graph, and you can kind of move the dials from one location at one temp to another location from another temp. So you can speed it up as the temps start to rise. So as the temps rise, the speed of the fan kind of climb with it. So that's what's good about PWM. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is get some of the cables in here. And these are the modular cables. Sorry about the noise. It's a noisy bag. These are some of the modular cables that came, and we're going to be using our SATA 3 power connectors. Might be using both of them. We won't be using any Molex that I know of. This is a PCIe Express power adapter. We won't be using that either. Unfortunately, we're not going to be putting a graphics card in this yet. Though down the road, the owner of the company, my boss, was talking about having 2 monitors. Now this will easily run 2 monitors, the CPU and APU rather. But it's not going to run them that great. I mean, it will handle 2 of them, but my suggestion would be to buy a graphics card, and that's what I told him. I said, if you really want a second monitor, if you have to have it, buy a graphics card, because it's going to help you out in the long run. Alright, now that we got that in there, and granted, this one only comes with 2 SATA powers on one, and that's mostly because, well, that's all this power supply gives you. You can put up to 4 drives in here. So I think we're going to end up using both, because I want to put an SSD and the actual hard drive in here. So for the hard drive, what we're going to do is we're going to put these on here, these little sled thingies, and we want to put them on the right way. So I don't think that's how they go. That wouldn't make much sense. Well, at least not to me it would. That's how they fit. That's weird. These are the wrong ones, maybe? You know what? Nope. That's weird. Like, what orientation would you ever use where you put your hard drive in where it literally sticks several inches out the back? Because that just doesn't make much sense. So this is basically what it's saying to do. And there's no way in the hell that's really going to freaking work, because that's way too far outside the back of the case. So this kind of sucks. Shit. Oh man, the things you run into with building computers. So what we might have to do is just kind of orientate this, or maybe, just maybe, might be taking the drive cage out. Okay. Because I just don't understand why they would do this. So I'm going to take the drive cage out, folks. There's the drive cage, the useless drive cage. Throw that away. We're going to see what we can do as far as putting one hard drive here and then the SSD over there. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that or not. So what we might be doing is putting the hard drive down here, if there's any screws for it. And I'll be able to get one in there. One's better than none, so. And this is the type of stuff you have to worry about when you're building your own computer. And I'll be honest, it sucks. Alright, now, so before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and pull out our SATA cables, because we need them. And I will also, I'm going to pull this camera back just a little bit. Sorry for the movement, don't mean to make you dizzy. Also going to lift it up just a little bit. Just so you can get a pretty shot of my PC maybe. No, that's not going to work. There we go. Okay, that's better. I wish I could zoom further out. No, that's okay. I'll just leave the corners like that and edit it out later. Anyhow, now that we got our SATA cables, what we're going to do, since we really can't do much, what's it called, wire management, we're just going to go ahead and plug these in. This is going to be our second drive. Making it the second one because we don't want to be booting from this once we get our operating system onto our SSD. So hopefully I'll be able to put this one right here and put the SSD directly above it. Hopefully. Don't know if I'll be able to do this properly. Anyways, back to what we were doing, putting the SSD in. So, I hope to God this works. So don't really know if it will. Nope, it won't. Okay, so our next, that's in there. Okay, our next bet is to use the other SATA power and hope to God that it reaches our optical drive and our SSD. So, because if it doesn't, then what we're going to have to do is something I don't really want to do, and put a third SATA power plug in here, which honestly just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, okay folks, I had to turn the camera off and fix a few things in here, so I apologize. You didn't get to see me install the optical drive into the bay, but as you clearly cannot see, okay, it sticks out. Now I realize that's ugly and that's unprofessional, but because of the fan header on this motherboard, which is a micro ATX, and this is a micro ATX case, the optical bay does not fit all the way in. I even tried using the small one that's in my main rig right here. It did not fit. Now this really frickin' irritates me, because the owner of the company, he's gonna want an optical bay. He still believes that, you know, they're used widely. He doesn't realize that most people don't have an optical bay in most of their computers. So whatever, it's in there. It doesn't look very pretty, but he's not gonna have to look at it too often. So now what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go ahead and cut the feed here for a moment. I'm going to put everything back on, the panels back on, and I'm going to start her up, get it to boot, and then I will come back at you guys with the conclusion, and hopefully everything will run properly. So, be right back, guys. Alright folks, we're back, and since I don't have a ton of time, I've only literally got like 7 minutes, probably less than that, left on my memory stick right now that I have in there, and I really don't want to swap it out for another one. So I'm just going to keep this short and simple. This is the conclusion to this very basic custom PC built for my boss, for the owner of the company that I work for. Right now I am migrating the operating system from his original mechanical drive, which as I told you guys earlier was the 2 terabyte Seagate mechanical drive, and right now it is going on to the other drive I have in here. Which is this right here. It's not this particular one. I have a couple of these that are brand new that are unused. It has roughly 8.5 minutes left until it is complete, and then the operating system partition is going to be swapped over to the SSD so that this thing boots up like that. And hopefully he will be happy. I was unable to overclock the CPU, and that's due to the basis of this motherboard. It's not overclock friendly, so I can't actually overclock it. As far as I know, I don't think you can overclock on that board, so I just kind of stuck with the 4.1 gigahertz speed, which really, to be honest, is quite freaking good if you're a guy that knows very little about computers, and doesn't do much else other than using Word, Excel, PowerPoint, using a web browser, Mozilla Firefox to be specific, and shooting emails back and forth, and playing a few card games online. Really, I mean, you don't need anything faster than that to do such applications. This is just going to allow him to not have to worry about his computer blue screening a death on him constantly, because the other one, I imagine a lot of it was the operating system on the HHD is just, you know, it was getting old, and for whatever reason files were getting corrupted, and it was just BSODing. So yeah, hopefully this fixes that. It's no guarantee. It'll probably blue screen on it a couple times throughout the rest of this computer's life, but there's nothing we can do about that. So, you know, that's just part of being a Windows operating system user. Just something you have to put up with. But anyways, yeah guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that everything did work out. It booted up perfectly. I reactivated the Windows because, as most people know, with Windows, when you swap motherboards, Windows thinks that it is a new computer, and technically this is, but there's ways around it. All you gotta do is call them up and you give them the installation ID, they give you a new activation ID, and bam, 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 you're done. Literally, it took me like maybe 10 minutes at most, and I had this thing back up and running and activated. So, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Take some time out and check out some of my other videos I got up there. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, definitely subscribe. Also, thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't. And let me know in the comments what you think. And also let me know in the comments what type of content you guys would like to see from me. I do have some more stuff coming up, and I will definitely let you guys know about it. You guys can find me at Twitter and Instagram at FrostAttack, as well as Facebook under my actual name, Jared Frost. I think that's it. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna get on out of here. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one.